Today's topic is about building strong bonds with your teen and increasing your connection in your parent-teen relationship. It's been said that it's normal teen behavior to push their parents away, that it's part of their need for independence. The teen is that has the inner rebel who wants space. But for us parents, being rejected by our teens hurts. As a mom myself, I don't like it. And also as a grown-up daughter, I don't like it. Looking back on my own teen years, I used to do this a lot, pushing my parents away, especially when I was 14 or 15 years old. My mom would go out of her way. She'd try to start conversations with me. She'd ask questions. But what would I do? I'd just go to my room or put my head in a book. Yeah. Um, there weren't any devices at the time. I'm a bit old. But anyway, now that I'm a mom and my kids are teens and I'm feeling how they push me away sometimes. And I can tell you, yes, I don't like it. So I've become curious about this behavior. What's really going on? Is this like a curse of the teen years? Do we have to go through it? Does it happen in every family? Um, are we destined as humans? Are our teens destined to go through this phase? Or is there a way around this? Well, of course, there is a way around this. Okay, let's start by understanding what's actually happening beneath the surface. Teens are going through many changes. I've talked about this a lot. This teenage phase makes them feel unsafe sometimes. Why? Because they're afraid of change. They're afraid of all these unknown things that are happening. They're also afraid of being judged or rejected, and their fear puts them on the defensive. And this shows up as them pushing us away. This defensiveness has an emotional component tied up with it, and that started forming early on. It's probably around 7 or 8 years old. That age at which, they say that kids start losing their innocence around that age. Um, what happens is that they start building their emotional defenses at that age. And now during the teen years, the emotional defensiveness, it takes on another layer. That's the mental or the intellectual defenses. And the mind starts defending. The mind starts making up stories and beliefs around the fears and the insecurities. And what happens is that the emotional and mental defenses, they loop together, reinforcing each other, causing the defensive behavior to go on and on. Now, please know that this defensive loop is normal. It's part of growing up. Even if you have the most loving environment in your home, your teen will still experience this defensive loop in some way. It's part of the human hardwiring. And it's essential for our individuation as humans, for our survival. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't have survived so far over the past few thousand years on this planet. So understand that the defensiveness is normal. Now, how do we deal with it? What actually, how do we address it? And I'm going to go into tips on how we as parents can address this when the defensive loop is playing out. But I first want to share a little bit about my personal insights around my own teen years and how this defensive loop played out personally for me, just to give you an example. So, looking back, I can see how my emotional defenses when I was a teen, my defenses used to be closing my heart and building high walls around it. That was my way of protection, keeping others out so that I don't have to feel the feelings. When I push others away, I reject them before they have a chance to reject me. So I keep myself safe from hurt. That was my emotional defenses. My mental defenses, I used to judge and criticize and find fault in everything, and in both others and in myself. And these emotional and mental defenses, they would loop together, spiraling in me downwards into isolation and distraction and escapism. And my escapism was overstudying and overachieving at school. Or I used to also lose myself in books and hobbies and art and music. So I used to keep myself busy all the time. And remember, I'm not saying that these are bad things, but I used to use them to escape. And that followed me into adulthood. As a high achieving woman, juggling many things, um, I used to go after the achievement, not as a genuine calling inside me, but just to keep myself busy, just to escape. And of course, I experienced burnout. Now, if you've listened to my story before, you would know what I'm talking about. Now, during my teen years, at that time, I didn't have enough self-awareness. I didn't have understanding of these defensive loops. So I was going through the rough teenage changes, including puberty and high school stress. And personally, there were also other challenging circumstances, including death of a loved one in the family. I was also growing up in a country which had lots of political unrest and, all the social and economic implications. So there were lots of factors that added up, making it hard for me to break my defensive loop. And I see how that loop couldn't have gotten dissolved during my teen years. Having gone through this, and now after doing a lot of inner work, I understood what was going on and I've made peace with my inner teenage self. That's why I want to share what I learned. I want to work with teens and parents and let them know about all this. Now, the teen years are really an initiation. So let's help our teens face this initiation now in the teen years so that they can enjoy their life later. Let's help them make the most of their youth instead of wasting it on being defensive. And again, these days there are too many distractions, phones, social media, gaming. There's too many stresses with school and career pathways. So let's do whatever we can as parents to help our teens. I will move now to some tips around building strong bonds with your teen. And I forgot to mention that the defensive loops that I was talking about, these loops can play out in different ways. I explained how they played out for me, but again, they play out differently for different people. It all depends on the uniqueness of your teen. Every person is different. And it also depends on your uniqueness as a parent, your triggers, and your ability to hold space for both your teen and yourself. So it's really about the both of you, the teen and the parent. It's about your unique parent-teen relationship. And also, we as adults, as parents, we're also faced with so many distractions. Between juggling our household, our work, our job, there's lots of distractions for us and stresses. It can get overwhelming, um, especially when we've not been focusing on our relationship with our teens, and suddenly, oh, they grew up so fast, and we don't know where to start. Like, we want to change something, but suddenly we see a very big gap. And a part of us is afraid that, oh no, what if it's too late? Well, what if we've left it for too long? But it's never too late, okay? Even if we're overwhelmed, it's never too late. And if you are overwhelmed, why not ask and receive genuine support? If you'd like to explore this further with me, I'm currently offering a course and a coaching container around parent-teen soul connection. You can find more info about it on my website, theteensoulcoach.com. Just look under offerings and it's called Parent-Teen Soul Connection. Okay, so let's go into the tips on how we as parents can build strong bonds with our teens, even when they seem to be pushing us away. Tip number 1, keep your heart open, okay? Rise above your triggers. Stay centered and calm. You're the lighthouse. Your teens are out there sailing the seas, but you need to remain the lighthouse. They need to know that you are always open to welcome them in. Tip number 2, set your intentions to keep the connection between the both of you. You know, don't underestimate how powerful intentions can be. Be deliberate, make effort, make time, spend special time with your teen, and don't let yourself be distracted by the drift of life. Tip number 3, when communicating with your teen, practice active listening. Like, really listen to what they have to say. Don't get stuck in your agenda, and don't interrupt them while they are talking. Tip number 4, mind your language. Don't use shaming or blaming. Treat your teen with respect. Also celebrate them when they do talk. Tip number 5, let them know that you love them. Figure out their love language, how they like to be loved. You know, is it hugs? Is it words of appreciation? Is it acts of service? Everybody has their own different way of, they call it their different love language. And you can also communicate through your energy, you know, without talking or without physical touch. When you radiate love, you know, your energy, your presence, you really feel genuine love on the inside. You know, your teens can pick your energy. They can pick it up. They can sense it, even when you're not doing anything. Maybe it was easier when they were younger, you know, when they were 2 or 3 years old, and you would just stare at them in fascination and, you know, telling yourself how cute they are and bathing them in this field of love. Maybe it's hard for you to do that now when they're grown up and they're pushing you away, but that's a test for you to open your heart wider. Tip number 6, trust and have faith. See your teens for who they really are. You know, deep inside, I believe that every one of us is an eternal soul. So your teens are eternal souls, and they are having this human experience under your roof in this lifetime. See, it's an amazing miracle. You know, across the galaxies of time and space, you have actually come together in this lifetime to have this experience together. That's my truth. What is your truth about the miracle of life? Figure that out and remember it. Tip number 7, the last tip, become students in this classroom of life. We're all learning, so there's no end. Learn to understand yourself better, to understand your teen better, understand your own defensive patterns. You know, where do you hold back on your love? And how can you meet your teens with an open heart? So these are my tips for today. Choose the one which resonated with you the most and take action today or at least this week. Thank you for listening. I'm Nadine, the Teen Soul Coach. See you next time.